Mobile devices are more prevalent in our networks today. What are some of the threats associated? Stick around to find out.
You're watching IT Pro TV.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us as we continue our journey through CySA Plus. We are talking mobile device technologies and more so the threats that are surrounding them. So let's go ahead and start off with everybody's favorite acronym in this space, and that's BYOD, or Bring Your Own Device. That is very prevalent. What are we looking at when it comes to threats around that, Dan?
Wes, did you bring your own device today?
I brought my own device.
I
and
got
left it at
mine
the
right
desk.
here. Right I guess technically this is a mobile device as well.
I was gonna say,
I can take it places.
I brought coffee.
Yeah, that's Wes's most important mobile device. It keeps him powered, right? But BYOD, yes, it is an important thing, and it has changed the landscape for better or worse. We don't know yet. I guess probably a little bit of both, if I were to be honest. I remember when this started to become a thing. I was working as a sysadmin. I had to start dealing with this, and people wanted to go, well, I have my own iPhone, or I bought this Samsung tablet, and I want to connect that to my corporate email. I'm like, cool. Well, hold on. When you say connect to the corporate email, you don't mean like OWA, do you? You mean you want to get email on it like it's an email. Ah, gotcha. And then what else are you going to do with that? You're going to connect. So the threat landscape as well became much broader and much wider because they are little computers. They sitting in your pocket doesn't mean that they don't have some power behind them. And we probably nowadays tend to use these things a whole lot more often than not for quite a few different functions. So let's talk about those threats. One of them is deperimeterization, right? Where in days of yore, when we once controlled the land with a sovereign fist, we were able to say, here's your computer. It sits on your desk. When you access business data, that's where you do it from. That's gone, right? The BYOD thing comes along and says, well, I want to access it when I'm at Starbucks. I want to access it when I'm at a conference. I want to access it when I'm at home watching television for X, Y, or Z reasons. And we acquiesced. We capitulated. Get to use my big words for the day. And said, okay, because it is convenient, right? There was that convenience factor, but it dissolved the boundaries that we once observed. And that opens us up to vulnerability. So because of that, right, our data is now no longer confined to our building. It's no longer confined to just that safe space that we once had. Now it's out in the wild. It's everywhere. So we got to worry about that. User takes them wherever they go. And don't forget, those devices are mobile. So one of the major threats that comes with a mobile device is the fact that it could be lost or stolen. Lost is not good, stolen bad, right? Stolen real bad, especially if it is. So, Wes, I don't know if you remember, like, there was for a while there, we were seeing a lot of news articles about CIA, someone or other, or someone who works in the FBI or the NSA, or one of our intelligence agencies, left their laptop in a taxi cab, or it was stolen from them.
And sitting in a bar,
right?
You know, and again, not going, oh my God, everybody's out there getting drunk, but just social hour, right? Oh, I walked away, I left it on the bar, I went to the bathroom, I come back, and
this is the scenario.
Where is my phone? Yeah. Where's my device?
No, we tend to chalk off that idea of no one would ever be targeting my device for anything as paranoia, right? Oh, you're paranoid. I get that from people all the time. Who would want my phone? You would be surprised.
Opportunistic threat actors.
Right. Not just opportunistic, but I'm targeting you because I know who you are. I'm targeting your organization.
Sure,
yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This does happen.
Definitely.
Right? So there we go. We got to be on the lookout for that device being lost or stolen. And then the security that surrounds it, right? We don't have that control. Or maybe we do or maybe we don't. If it's not my device, if I don't own it, if I do have some control, it's probably going to be very limited. Right? So if it's, am I able to keep it patched? Is it encrypted at all? So if someone were to steal it, would they be able to get past the PIN or the locking mechanism? Does it have a locking mechanism? Let's hope so, right? Does it have any kind of antivirus, anti-malware systems on it? Have no idea. Maybe, right? That's the best I could say. Maybe. That's it. So these are the threats that come along with that whole BYOD. Also, things they can do is overwhelm our infrastructure. Maybe Wes and I, we've been hired to design a network. Here's the X amount of devices that are going to be supported by that network. They've got 100 devices. Cool. We'll build it with some scope in there and allow it for some growth. We'll make it robust enough to handle 150 devices. And now the 100 users that are coming in to use a 150 device network are also bringing in their own devices. And now we've got 250 devices on a 150 device network. You start to see the problem. It overwhelms the system. Too much bandwidth is being used and it's not enough. You start to get people complaining about their experience with the network or the application or whatever it is that these things are now overwhelming. Okay, so very actually could cause an unintentional denial of service, right? That's really what we're talking about right here, which does happen from time to time, but you got to be prepared.
And there's user acceptance too, Dan, because I'm thinking of let's go ahead and play devil's advocate. Why are you telling me that I need to patch my device? It's my device.
This was the biggest issue that I ran into.
This is my device.
Yeah, when this started was like we would say, you have to give me control over to be able to do X, Y, or Z on that device. And they would go, whoa, that's not yours. I go, I know. But we're having to play compromise here because I'm going to give you access to company data on a non-company device, which I have little to no control over. So I need you to give me some control so that if anything ever happens, lost or stolen, I can go, boom, wipe it out or disconnect it or do whatever to bring back some of that safety.
And you know, when you say overwhelming the infrastructure, you know, how could that have an adverse effect? You know, I mean,
Can't get to resources.
Oh, okay, so denial of service.
Right, denial of service. That's an unintentional denial of service attack that's happening.
Yeah.
If I can't get on the network or I'm getting low bandwidth or my requests are being dropped because I'm competing with too many devices and and then what do I got to do? Okay, well, if that's going to happen, I need to update my infrastructure so that it can handle that level of bandwidth. That's going to cost me money and time, downtime, that kind of stuff, right?
And
so
that A comes back to mind, and that the three principles of security, availability, right? We cannot forget that. And yeah, you need access to your data to be productive, but you just in general, security principles say you should have access to your data when you need access to it, but you also need to secure it.
That's exactly right. And then this can also cause a real trouble, like what you were speaking to about how this isn't my device, it's not your device. I don't want you doing X, Y, or Z. Think about incident response. Right? What happens if there is a security incident and that device is the compromised system? How do I can I take that device and hand it over to the incident handlers to do forensics on that? Maybe the owner of that device does not want to give that kind of look into their personal life because there's a lot of personal information that goes into our personal mobile devices. And that's totally legitimate. It might be some lawyers involved, some legalities that we would have to cross that border. And I might never get into that device. I might never be able to because the law stipulates it's theirs. We didn't, blah, blah, blah. You know, so there's a real conflict that could occur with that. So just be aware. Those are some of those threats.
So that's from the hardware side of things, right?
Yeah.
We've got many different devices, many different types of hardware devices. You know, BYOD doesn't just say, hey, just my cell phone, but we got tablets. Let's talk about the software side of things, right? The engine that drives those hardware devices.
That's right. These are the mobile platforms, right? The iOS or the Android system that might be powering and running, like Wes said, I like that, the engine that's making this thing actually work. Okay, they have their own threats and vulnerabilities, and I can hear it now. I hear people going, I have an iPhone. It does not have threats. And guess what? You are wrong. I'm going to go ahead and plainly put that wrong. It does not have as many as an Android system has. Give you that, grant you that. It is, in that sense, a more secure system, I would say. Okay. But let's start with Android, right? Let's go there. Let's go with the big hitter. There's a much larger market for Android devices. And as a Linux guy, I've always heard, you come up, well, there's not a lot of malware for the old Linux systems. So maybe you want to move from that Windows junk, right? And you go, well, Windows is a much more widely used system. That's true, right? So it's going to be targeted more often because, well, why would I be targeting Linux systems when most people are running Windows? Just doesn't make sense. Same kind of thing here with Android and iOS. Android, I think last time this might be an old statistic, but it was like 4-to-1 ratio
Absolutely.
something around that.
Because you don't realize what Android's actually powering. It's not just powering your smartphone, not just your tablet, but the little computer chip that's in your TV is running on some kind of subsystem that's based off of Linux or an Android derivative. Or,
It's all over the place. So you got all these Android systems. So when it comes to mobile devices specifically, though, the Android, because of its openness, right? It is an open platform. It's meant to be open. Typically, one of the best ways to get malware or some sort of infiltration into those systems is through third-party applications. So I think that's a cool app. It's not in the Google Play Store, but what could happen, right? It seems legit. Let's go to the computer. I just brought up an article or two about this here. Please just stop downloading apps from unofficial stores. Android users hit with unkillable malware. I love the picture of Bill Paxton here, and best to just nuke the site from orbit. I miss old Bill. He was a great actor. Game over, man. Yeah, so this X-Helper application seemed like it was going to be the bee's knees. Ended up being dang near unkillable malware, which is this Matryoshka Trojan, at least they think it was, right? Go over here. Best Google Play Store alternatives. This is the kind of thing that's going to start getting you in trouble. So Play Store, they have security measures in place. If you bypass those security measures by going to a third party, and then of course here you go. You got Amazon App Store, and I'm sure all these people have the greatest intention in the world, but I don't know if they have the same type of security. Okay. So side-loading apps, downloading third-party apps, going to unofficial Play Stores. This is what's going to get you in the weeds in an Android device. Jumping over to iOS, it's the same story, different chapter, really. You've jailbroken your device, you've removed the security controls, and then you basically go sideload apps, and it's covered in malware. So, like I said, same kind of idea. Both of these devices, though, can both fall prey to zero-day exploits, right? So it's not anything that they can get away from. 0 days or 0 days. They're going to be discovered. They're going to be used and utilized. Bezos, right? Here recently, Jeff Bezos was hacked on his mobile device running an iPhone, right? So they happen. Once they do, the companies are really good about patching. But again, if this is a mobile device, if it's a BYOD, do I have that kind of control? Can I make sure it's getting patched? And now it's a part of my environment. Oh, it's a nightmare for us as administrators and security analysts. Okay, so I think that's all we need as far as the platforms that these things are running on. Just know that 0 days are always a problem, no matter what you're running, and those side-loading apps from third-party and unofficial app stores, never a really good idea.
So we need a good way to do centralized management, right, of these devices, and that is difficult. Definitely, given the arena that we're dealing with, so many different devices, so many different nuances, and just the difference in general. Tell us a little bit about this concept known as mobile device management. I know this is a centralized approach to trying to bring some method to the madness and secure these devices that are within our network.
Yeah, we've got MDM, and there's also EMM, which is Enterprise Endpoint Management. No, I'm sorry, not Endpoint. Mobility Management. Enterprise. So there you go. MDM and EMM. I like that. Mobile Device Management, Enterprise Mobility Management. Oh my goodness, the acronym soup is always so much fun. Let's start with MDM. More of a basic administrative functionality, kind of like giving you some low-level device features or hardware device features, maybe the GPS or the networking, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, camera, that kind of idea. Whereas when you move into EMM, you're starting to get more control over software. What kind of apps are allowed on the device and disallowed? Is there any kind of antivirus or anti-malware systems installed? And this actually is starting to move toward that unified endpoint management systems, those UEMs, to have full control, just like what we do with our normal other types of endpoints. So I found a couple of them that looked really cool. One of them is available from VMware. Jump into the computer here. It is called AirWatch, and you can see how VMware Workspace ONE can transform your business, because it does jump into that BYOD environment. I'll just do that a little bit. There we go. And gives you some security, helps you configure and manage and support every endpoint, increases productivity with seamless access to apps These things a lot of times will give you the ability to create your own app store, basically, and have only your line of business applications available. And that's the only app store the device would be able to download and install from. So this gives you tons of control, safeguard company data at every layer. I can make sure that this thing has encryptions enabled, that it's using encrypted communications if necessary, all the wonderful stuff. And then, of course, check-ins, health monitoring, all that lovely stuff. Here's another one. This one is called Mobile Iron. Mobile Iron named the leader in the 2019, well, it's 2020 now, Mobile Iron. No, I'm kidding. 20,000 customers, but kind of the same thing. Here's the foundation of a secure enterprise environment. They zero sign-on. That did intrigue me. Mobile Iron Access eliminates passwords with zero sign-on. Finally, we'll see. I don't know. I've never used it, but it did look like an interesting UEM that you might want to use in your environment if this was something that you were trying to secure for. Very cool stuff. So like I said, a lot of the services are going to be like device enrollment and authentications, remote locks and wipes, things like locating devices to the GPS and other technologies, pushing out the operating system, app, and firmware updates for the devices. All this is the kind of stuff that you're going to be able to do with these types of technologies. Preventing root access or jailbreaking, so stopping that from happening. So if somebody gets a little frisky on what they're going to do with their device, we can put the kibosh on that. Constructing an encrypted container for on devices which keep sensitive organizational data contained, right? So nothing's actually coming in. So kind of sandboxing your sensitive data. Restricting certain features and services based on access control policies. Now I actually have the ability to say, well, I'll give you some access, but I'm going to give you more access because you're a manager or you're in that realm or something. More granular control over these devices. And that's what we need in these BYOD mobile world, which we now find ourselves in, having to administer and secure mobile devices. I know it's been a little bit of a journey here for us, and there's a lot of moving parts as far as what goes on with a mobile device and how we can secure it. But hopefully I've given you the keys to the kingdom on that and the information you need for the CySA exam.
And when one thing to also keep in mind that this technology is only going to get bigger and broader as we go, right?
You are totally right.
As they innovate more things, yep, it gives us convenience. But Dan has told you over and over throughout this series, convenience, security, they're on the same scale, but the balances aren't the same. That's
right.
Sure.
It slides.
So, ladies and gentlemen, remember we talked about a lot, right? So a lot of the different technologies. Remember BYOD. Definitely be aware of the mobile platforms and some of the threats associated with them, and then be familiar with MDM, right? That is something that is very prevalent. Dan mentioned AirWatch and the Mobile Iron. There's what else? Microsoft Intune that's been out there for a while. These are some of the things as a cyber analyst that you're going to have to keep under your belt to make sure that you're prepared for that exam. We got a lot more content to come, but we don't have enough time in this episode. So thanks for watching the CySA Plus. We hope to see you in those upcoming episodes.
Thank you for watching IT Pro TV.